Hello, lovely people out there. It's been a long time. It actually hasn't been a long time. It's only been a week, but it's been a long time in previous cadence. But we are uploading videos, specifically videos that are more time sensitive, right? They are around the right time because crypto's having issues right now. And so I don't want to inundate you with content just for the sake of doing it. I'd rather it be relevant, helpful, and in perfect cases, beneficial. This probably won't take too long then. Of course, I'll take any questions that we have. We are live streaming right now. We are live streaming on YouTube and our Twitch channel specifically. We are not yet streaming on our Discord. We will be on our Discord here momentarily. The reason I'm not doing it that way is because at this time, as I see, nobody's up in our Discord. Most of those are in a different time zone. So I wanted to go ahead and just isolate YouTube. And then, of course, YouTube has a recording. People can check that out. And then we'll share the YouTube to people. As the Discord then grows, then I will go back to recording on the Discord channel because that works very well. But for me, I could just share out the YouTube link and that works perfectly fine. But Twitch is going to be probably the best quality, arguably. And then YouTube is going to be the easiest, of course, to get to. Let's get into this. I have a couple of quick things. This won't take too long, but just a couple of quick things to chat out with you here. I pulled up CoinDesk because I wanted to chat around what's going on with cryptocurrency. Hopefully, those that listen to my show took my advice, which was isolate to the core tokens and don't pay attention to their current price. Pay attention to the price that you want and make a decision whether you buy in, but ideally avoid some of these secondary tokens because ultimately they are subject to the core tokens anyway. And you can use the core token to then buy into whichever secondary token that you want. Hopefully you took that advice. If you didn't, it's okay. But we've had a little bit of a run here. We've had pretty good run up with Bitcoin back up to 20. It actually got up to 22,000 and a pretty good run up with Ethereum because it dipped as low as like $980 and it's back up to $1,200. BNB had a really good run up of $30. So if you bought in, like let's say BNB, for example, and you just stacked on it, you made a decent profit. But if you bought into Ethereum, you probably made a pretty couple $100 to $1,000 or some odd. And that's not bad considering what we're at. Now, I said also, I expected to be a little bit of bull run happening in the month of June. And that's what we saw, but we didn't see the bull run that I expected to sustain. That's okay. It didn't bother me necessarily. Where I figured we might run into some turmoil is we still have sell pressure. What we see in the temporary green is really just buy pressure that came out of nowhere. I speculated that would happen mostly because of tax season, people getting their tax refunds and they would start dumping money into cryptocurrency, especially off the dips, because some people truly believe that crypto is going to recover. This is cyclical. It's happened before multiple times. It's going to happen again. And people that have been in it a while, they know that this is a thing. It just happens, right? It's going to crap. The thing is the base level, the bottom is always getting higher. It's always getting higher. It's always getting higher. And the media, unfortunately, is misrepresenting what we're seeing in the turmoil. They're representing it as the demise, the full-on demise of cryptocurrency, and it's done, and it's a whatever. And they're using the Terra, Luna, and the Celsius, and the stable gains, and all these other ones as their justification. I understand why they do this. However, although there's an impact, that intangible that they're not acknowledging is that there's always people who are going to buy back in. And many of those people are waiting for dips. They want dips. They want it to be as cheap as possible. They want to buy as much as possible because they know it's going to go to the moon, doot. So anybody that's been in it for a while, they just kind of take it in their stride and they just kind of kick it. There's a meme floating out there about, at the top, there's people freaking out and panicking. And at the bottom, it has the dude from Wolf of Wall Street and he's just kind of chilling, drinking a drink. That's the two segments you've got. What people don't understand is why. What happens is there's a lot of new people coming into cryptocurrency because they saw a lot of green. They were recommended by friends. They saw something on the news. Jim Cramer told them a thing or whatever garbage. And so there's a lot of new money that flowed in. during the rise, during the 2021 and 2020 arguably runs. Those people were never educated to understand that this cyclical was going to happen. So many of them might look at this as, oh, it's a scam, it's a garbage now because it started crapping, because the media is telling them that this is the case, when the fact is, it has happened before, it's going to happen again, and it's a normal process. All that's changed, in my mind, is investment strategy. What is the priority of what you invest in and why? And then what decisions do you make for your investment portfolio that are specific to you? And to stop listening. And I actually recorded and I didn't publish it because I figured I'd wait for the weekly for this one. There are a lot of people on YouTube. There's a lot of people in the media. There's a lot of people, whatever, and influencers. You've heard the word influencers. I guess in some minimal case, I'm an influencer to some degree. Influencers all have a gimmick. Every last one of them. Even Ben Shapiro, even Tucker Carlson, even AOC, everybody has a gimmick. You just don't recognize the gimmick for what it is because you treat it as a personality. The truth is there's a gimmick. What's happening is a lot of these newer people are being influenced by the gimmick, not the message. There's a difference. Coming off the message, you're saying, I see that your message makes perfect sense to me, and I'm going to invest because of what you said, and it makes sense and it's logical. And for me, I'm going to just kind of roll with it. I've said before, as long as you acknowledge that you are a gambler at heart, I support you and great. But when you say, nope, it's just this person is perfectly right and they got everything cool and this project to the moon, and they don't understand, it's a little bit harder than that. We have to listen to the credibility of the argument being made. Does the person sound like they know what the heck they're talking about, or are they just talking, let's go to the moon, Are they, you can tell the hype masters. And the other flip of this in influence land, unfortunately, this is the case. It's always going to be the case. Women are always going to have a lot of people flock to them simply because they're women. And as the kids like to say, there are so-called, quote, thirsty guys out there who just simply jump on any female because they're a female. It doesn't even matter if they're doing anything that's sexual or sexy, just because they're female. Arguably, in certain cases, and I'm not going to drop names, but in certain women cases that are high-level influencers, it's because they happen to be attractive, and that's the only reason they have a platform. But if you listen to them, they're talking out of both sides. They're not. There's no cohesive argument. They're no credibility. So these people are not listening to the credibility. They're just going off the fact that this cute girl is telling them to do a thing, and then they just do it. When they get then wrecked, then the blame is everywhere else. They deflect. It's a Chewbacca defense. I don't do that. I say, at the end of the day, let's just, as a society, as a culture, crypto, we have to acknowledge when we make bad decisions for whatever reason, and then learn from it so we don't make them again. So we don't repeat the definition of insanity, and do a better job listening to the credibility of the argument. I did a video recently about this outlaw mud show with On-Chain Crypto, who's a YouTube influencer, and for whatever reason, the car salesman for Seifu went on his show, and I don't know why, because On-Chain Crypto is nothing but antagonistic, nothing but provocative. He's one of those that triggers people because they're entertained by him, and the entertainment value is debatable, but the point is they're entertained by him. So they wanted the clown show. Anybody that dialed into that was either people wanting to defend Seifu or people wanting to see a clown show. The thing is, neither got what they wanted because it was so much worse than a clown show. It was just terrible. The people defending Seifu, there was nothing to defend because On-Chain didn't say anything worth a damn. So it just wasted everybody's time. It certainly wasted the car salesman time. Mind you, this is a guy that refused to go on CoffeeZilla and talk to CoffeeZilla, arguably the most credible of influencers out there. Refused to go on that one, but you go on this On-Chain dude. When I say that the influencers all have a gimmick, that's what I'm talking about. On-Chain has a gimmick. His gimmick is clear. His gimmick is, I'm going to sound like I know what I'm saying, and I'm going to stare into the camera at you, and I'm going to widen my eyes at you because it makes me sound like I know exactly what I'm talking about, and I'm going to do my hands like this because it makes me sound like I know what I'm doing. His gimmick is obvious. I give him major credit for his camera quality and his camera work and his ability to switch screens and everything. Once he goes live, he's out of his element. He's a fish out of water. That was clear and apparent because he's never done anything like that to the degree that he needed to. So when people then listen to him and follow him, he gets exposed because now he can't show up on the main stage. Well, what does that do? That makes the people that followed him before say, okay, this guy's full of crap. And I'm not here to judge his information. I'm simply saying everybody that's an influencer, everybody has a gimmick. It's important to not be influenced by the gimmick, be influenced by the messaging and the credibility of the messaging, and you can prove it. You should be able to prove what is being said. And if they're going to purportedly do an interview of some kind, you expect that they know what the heck they're doing. Anybody that questions me when I call out a token, right, can easily go, we've posted HODL token now, 2 parts of HODL token. I think it's pretty clear my style is far superior than anything on chain ever could do because I am a podcaster by trade. That is a style. It is a technique. It's not about staring in the camera with wide eyes and trying to act like a thing and going like this. None of that matters. The key is, do you really know how to do this? And if you don't, get somebody who does. And if you're a token project, you should go on the ones who are going to know how to ask the right questions because your goal should be to inform the listeners. With On-Chain, he made it about him. He was trying to prove something where there was nothing to prove instead of what he should have done, which is to inform anybody that's in Seifu right now, where after the crap and they're still stuck in there, and inform anybody that might be interested in Seifu, but they're uncertain, and be able to inform the institutionals who are on the sidelines. That's what he should have done. He went in with the wrong mentality. He doesn't know how to do the inform. He only knows how to do the clown, outlaw, mud show approach because that's his entertainment. Great. That's him. That's his style. That's his gimmick. My call to action, anybody listening to my show, understand, don't be influenced by the gimmick. Be influenced by the information, the messaging, the credibility. The person should be credible in their argument. It's not about whether they're cute. It's not about whether they have energy. It's not about whether they're exciting. It's not about whether even they're funny. The funny is kind of secondary. I'm not saying dismiss the funny. I'm saying that number one, ideally should be they have a strong, cohesive argument. They're coherent in their delivery. They're consistent in what they do. And they feel like they have some argumentable credibility. I want to see that you know what you're doing here. And I don't see that from certain of the influencers. I do see that they have a really good gimmick. I do see that they're strong in their entertainment value. I do see that they are very funny. In some cases, I see that they're very sexy. I don't see that there's credibility. I don't see that they have good arguments. I don't see that they're coherent. I don't see that they can really do it to the degree that would keep people safe, in my opinion. It goes back, everybody knows old day WWF and wrestling. Well, you know something, brother, say your prayers and take your vitamins. Same thing, gimmick, even though the guy's a joke. So that's my call to action number one. As we deal with what's happening in cryptocurrency, a lot of what's caused this sentiment decline and the sell-off is, yes, people need cash. Yes, the inflation. All of these are direct symptoms, right? But also, I think we have caused, when I say we, I'm talking influencer land, we have caused people to jump into projects without fundamentals, based on our gimmicks, and then those projects wreck out, and then who's left holding the bag? It's the person that invested in there, and some of the influencers might have been enriched by that activity or inactivity, which is why you never hear me tell you to buy into a project, because I don't know. There's never been a time I've said a project is fully legit other than Everrise, and that's only Everrise is because they went after actual venture capital. It's a well-formed 100% business, and they've proved themselves out. They're like the only one that I can 100% say these guys are legit. Even there, I don't tell people to buy into it. I don't know. Some people may think this is just garbage. It's not worth the time. I'm not going to buy into it. I support that decision. In some cases, people are just gamblers at heart and they just want to go after the gamblers. I support that too. I support any and everybody's strategy. My goal is simply to inform what I see, and then I want you to make your own decision about what you do about it. But with the core tokens, and the reason I call out the core tokens, they can never serve you wrong, because even if you just ignore the price, which is what I said, You can stack them and then use them to buy into whatever other project you wanted later, like Ethereum. If you bought Ethereum at like 980 something dollars, if you just wanted to buy and sell it, that's almost 200 some odd dollars per. So if you bought 4 or 5 of them, you're up there $1,000 profit, even when it's in the red, if you followed that recommendation just in the buys and sells. But let's say you did it because you want to buy into Ethereum project, some other Ethereum project. Then you have more Ethereum you can use to buy into those other projects. You have more Ethereum for gas. So then you shift it to where the Ethereum is there for you to buy into whatever else you want if you're not the buy and sell. Like, you can never go wrong with the core tokens, which is the crux of my recommendation. Some people just buy straight into whichever other meme token. That's great too. I'm saying though, if we look at the graph and we have it here, Ethereum, remember, got about as low as 980 bucks. So anybody that bought 980 bucks is sitting at a profit. And they could have sold for that profit to recoup losses for other projects. That's a strategy. It is, I'm going to use this to my advantage. I'm going to see there's a dip. It goes beneath the threshold, which I said in my previous, I don't think it's going to go too much further underneath 1,000, because 1,000 feels, based on holder count, like it can't, like some people said, oh, $200 Ethereum. I'm not sold. I don't even think it's possible, in my opinion. No matter how much crap is going on in Bitcoin in the industry, I don't think it's possible, because there's too many people holding Ethereum. You got to understand, it's not just in wallets. There's Ethereum that's staked. There's people that stake their Ethereum in ETH2O. There's Ethereum that's staked in different exchanges. There's Ethereum staked in swaps. There's Ethereum all over the freaking place. That bottom cannot be, in my mind, too much lower than $1,000 because of how much is out there. It's already too spread out there. I know the media keeps presenting that these are going to crap to zero and they're going to crash out and all that. And you got to make up your mind whether you believe that mantra. I don't see it's even possible because of a law of numbers. The law of numbers says if a number in crypto, if a number of people, enough people hold a thing, its bottom cannot go beneath a certain threshold, whatever that is. And that's why we call it testing the bottom resistance, because we have to test, of these people that are down here, however many are down here, are they willing to sell when we get the price down? How many FOMOs are down here? How many people are trying to get out? How many people are freaked out? How many people are still left willing to sell? Testing the bottom resistance is, we know there's this slice of people. The thing that the flaw, right, in the analysis coming out is, yes, we know they're there, but we're assuming they want to sell. I argue they're there because they don't want to sell. I argue that the vast majority of them want to hold, and they don't care about the graph. They don't care about the red. They don't care about the media. They don't care about any of that. They just sit on it. And you know what? These people down here, they're the wealthy. They're the wealthy that don't have to sell. If they don't have to sell, they're not going to sell because they don't need to. It's just another asset and they ignore it. Social media and the media and influencers, all three, present things in a light that is designed to, quote, influence people into taking action. That's the flaw, and why I tell people you got to make up your own mind for your own reasons and your own motivation. I have projects that the influencers will straight say, this is a hold token, don't sell it, hold, just keep holding it. It's a whatever. They describe it in all these analogies and all that, and that's cool. I don't do that because, again, if you are in a situation where you had to make a decision between feeding your family and holding some cryptocurrency, no, I think it's unacceptable to sit on something and let your family starve. I don't support this. To me, you make whatever decision makes sense for you and for your situation. I can't say it. No other influencer can. The crypto can't. You do what makes sense for you. That goes both ways, though. If it's a project where you know that their whole mantra is around hold strategy, and many of those are out there, then that's where staking comes into place. You stake it there, understanding I am not touching this. I'm not supposed to touch it. I'm going to let it go. It is what it is. And you have to be okay with that and just deal with it. If you're not, and you're not sure, and your financial situation is precarious, I would never tell you to get into those whole projects in the first place, because all that's going to do is trap you. That's what happened recently with Libero. A lot of people were sold with Libero, just lock it in the bank for 4 years, which sounded good in the bull market because the passives were high because the volumes were high. When the volume is low, it doesn't sound so good because now certain people are trapped. Hopefully nobody YOLO'd into the thing. Hopefully people took my recommendation. Don't put all in, put something you can throw away. But I know there's people out there that YOLO'd in and they're really frustrated right now. Many projects are like that. That's causing people not to want to stake. If people don't stake, proof of stake doesn't work. Do you understand? Like, we have to be able to be confident in our staking. But to do that, we, as in media, social media, influencers, etc., have to do a better job of educating people on what I've arguably said, which is your strategy has to work for you. Don't just do because somebody tells you it's the right thing to do or because a token tells you it's the right thing to do. Do what makes sense for you. Underlying to any of this, don't put more than you can afford to lose because nobody knows what might happen. In a proof of stake world, as long as you can unstake at will, it's probably not a big deal. But if they're talking about locking it away, that means you might lose that money through no fault of your own. Could be that the project completely shuts down. Could be that people get hit by a train or crashed at a plane or end up like MH370 lost near Australia. You don't know. So make a decision that makes sense for you and your confidence level. And ultimately, folks, cryptocurrency, essentially, you're gambling almost every time. You don't know. You don't know what the outcome is going to be. You don't know what the future holds. You don't know these external disruptors. So you kind of have to play it as if it was a gamble because you don't know what the outcome is. You can't predict the outcome. You can hope, and hopium can run you through. If you're all going off hope, that's a gamble. How is it not a gamble? And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with a gamble strategy as long as you acknowledge it's a gamble strategy. I'll leave you with this. I bought a bunch of Ethereum, as I mentioned, and then what I did, I bought it off the low, and then I used it, converted it over to the Binance Ethereum. And you might think that's weird. Follow me here. I took it, converted over to the Binance Ethereum so I could watch its price movement. When I saw that it was kind of wavering down below, I took the Binance Ethereum and then I converted it to stable. So I stabled it. Then I took a little bit of it, chunks of it, and I bought into I have A tier projects and B tier projects. So I took and I stacked into my A tier project. I have one of those primarily. And then my B tier projects, I gave a little bit of slice and then watched the price movement. And now I have my stable that just sits there as I watch for it to go up further. Then I'll know what I need to do if I need to put it back to Ethereum or I put it back to Binance. But the result is that my wallet then jumped like $300, which is not bad, with me doing nothing other than sticking with the projects, my Fave 5, A tier projects, and taking this dip and buying over there. Now, the reason I did it that way, instead of just going straight Binance coin, is because the vast majority of my fiat conversions happen either through KuCoin or through Coinbase. KuCoin nails you with a ridiculous fee and you get ripped off on the amount that you get. So I use Coinbase. Coinbase has a fee, but it's nowhere near the joke that KuCoin does. KuCoin's is easier, but they nail you. So you'll ask for, okay, I want 1,000 of this token, let's say. And you do it and it says, yep, you'll get 1,000. And by the time you get it, it's like 950 some odd. It's a joke of what they do. They've done it every time. Don't know why. Coinbase, if I say I want 1,000 of a thing, it's going to give me 1,000 of a thing no matter what, even if I have to pay a slightly higher fee. So I can predict how many coins I get, how many tokens I get better. Well, Coinbase only does Ethereum. So I was able to do it there to get the number I needed and then just convert it through the Everbridge, to get to the Binance side because I can't buy Binance through Coinbase. And Binance US is a joke. All my stuff is on the Binance side at this point, with one exception, which is SHIB. Everything else is, and Satama, my mining wallet. Everything else is Binance at this point. Binance, Polygon, Phantom, or AVAX. Everything else is, I've not done anything for Ethereum, but it's the easiest way to get the tokens I need. And then I just convert over the bridge to get to where I want to go. So the stuff I have now stabled, I just watch the price movement. Once I see it gets to a point, then I can either sell off the stable, knowing that it's stable, or I can convert it on the cheap because gas is cheap to Ethereum or to Binance or to Ripple or anything else, and then move from there. But I just sit and watch now my blue chip projects, as I call them, go up in price and appreciate, just watch it. With the secondary tokens then, right? All the meme stuff and everything else you invest in, we see that some of them did go on a bit of a run, but couldn't sustain it. Do you know why? It's because you still have too much sell pressure, not enough buy pressure. This was my issue with Libero. They mentioned that the burn was helping and the burn did not trigger the green we saw. The green we saw was triggered by the core token, in this case BNB, going on a bit of a run, which increased the value in the liquidity pair because the BNB that's in the liquidity pair increased value. So that increases the price because the value of the liquidity has gone up. It was not because of the burn, I can guarantee you this. And I proved it because it went right back in the red earlier this morning. If the burn was doing a thing, it wouldn't go back in the red. It's going in the red because it still has sell pressure. They haven't solved that problem. Many of these tokens are the same thing. They haven't solved the underlying issue inherent with whatever it is that their project specifically has going on that's breaking it. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. Let's see if CoinDesk can pull up Libero. It may not. And that's the news. I don't want news. They don't have the crypto search. Fine. I will go to Dex Tools because in this case, it doesn't matter what I use. I'll go to Dex Tools and I'll launch the app. I want to show you why what I'm saying can only be. And we'll search for Libero on the BNB. Make sure I have the right holders. It's probably this one. Phantom Libero is growing still. I'm ignoring Libera because it's a little bit smoke and mirrors for what I'm showing. So here's basically the 2 weeks worth for Libero Financial. If you do the graph like this, everything looks good, but the truth is this is a 52% growth, but it's after a 90 some odd percent decline. And it's only one segment of a thing. The problem is that the growth is because of the BNB that's in the liquidity pool, primarily. It's not because of increased levels of volume, because the volume is actually down. If you go back to one of my previous Libero videos, I said that volume was around about 40 to 70,000. The volume's down, but the price movement is coming from BNB. The price of BNB, the value of BNB. It's not coming from increased volume or increased interest. That tells you we're not getting increased buy pressure on it. Do we expect it to trigger some FOMO run? Maybe. Hasn't happened yet. If I look at Seifu then, for compare and contrast, because Seifu generally has higher volume than Libero, and it indeed does. It has 500,000-ish in volume and always has. BNB is significant. If I look here, it didn't have significant amounts of climb. It only climbed roughly about $1-ish in the value. Why? Because it doesn't have significant additional buy pressure. All that's really happened is the value of the pool BNB has increased, which has caused a little bit of green. It's not because people are buying back into the project. Until you have the buy pressure, you're not going to see the run. And so that's why I said, to me, I would isolate to the core tokens for now until we start seeing more of the buy pressure come back in. If you're in other projects, then Kiba, as an example, and Kiba it's been on my hit list with an S because they got rid of the reflections. But regardless, just to kind of show, Kiba has one of the strongest advertising campaigns of all crypto. And even it can't get out of the lull that it currently is sitting in because of what's happening, because there's no buy pressure still even now. We're not at the point where we are seeing more of a bull run. We're seeing spots of green here and there, but the true buy pressure isn't there yet, and the sell pressure is still kind of there. I would argue the sell pressure is a lot lower, but the buy pressure isn't high enough to see the run that we expect, which is why I said Q3 has been my new adjusted estimate based on what I'm seeing. Now that we're past this dump predilection, now it's buy pressure. The only thing that's going to trigger buy pressure, true buy pressure, is for people to see an incentive to buy off the green. and we're not really there yet. Will we get there? I say yes. When? Nobody knows. No influencer knows. No media knows. Which is why I keep saying, and I will repeat, to me, it's all about the core tokens because the core tokens cannot fail you no matter what. They're always there. They're always going to be there. And you can always use them to buy into any other project. So they already have innate utility intrinsic to them, or you just stick with Bitcoin. And some people are literally sitting on Bitcoin and just waiting for it to go back up, knowing that it's eventually going to go back up. And that's another possibility as well. Whatever makes sense for you. At the end of the day, I simply say, regardless of what people are saying in the media, regardless of influencers, even myself, regardless of social media, to me, the best time is going to be right now to get core tokens, however you do it, whether you day trade them, whether you just buy, sell off, and jumps and recoup lost wealth for other things, whether you buy into dips, whatever you choose to do. To me, it's all about the core tokens because I don't think they can ever steer you wrong as a long-term strategy is my statement, my summary statement on what's going on. I'll wrap up by saying this real fast. I believe, and this is going to be a little bit tinfoil, but I firmly believe this. I believe that what's happened with Roe v. Wade is also affecting some of this stuff because I've said that the people in office right now don't like cryptocurrency. They don't. They don't want you to be self-sufficient. They don't want you to make your own wealth. They want you to be dependent on the system in our current administration. November is where we have to see a blowout to get people in that like cryptocurrency. Right now, the media is presenting the Roe v. Wade decision as basically when these people come in office, if they come in office, they're just going to put bans across all 50 states. And what people don't understand is that that's impossible. The people vote on things. If the people want abortion to be a thing in the state, it will be a thing in the state, period. There's no such thing as ban. The governor can't just come in and do a thing. That means that people have to be brave enough to uproot and move to a state that supports their values. But the media is slanting it to say, well, this is why we got to keep the current people in office because they're going to put this back and then we're going to pack the courts and get this back on. Even though it was against the constitutional intent. Well, if these people stay in office, we're going to have more of a dip. We will have it go down because the current administration, you've heard them over months, trash cryptocurrency, this terror. That's why we need to reg this. We need to lock this down. We got to make it like the stock market. You've heard that mantra over months from the current. So I think we're going to hit an impasse coming close to November where people are going to have to decide. We've got to decide if we want crypto to recover. I believe you've got to have the blowout. You've got to get these people out of office because they don't want individual wealth back. If we get a blowout, I think crypto is going to go on a bull run. I firmly believe that leading up to whatever 2024 means. I think you had a bull run. If we don't get the blowout, I think it might go lower because we're going to see people start to crack down more heavily because they're going to start getting rid of all these barriers that are in their way and then just start locking it down and then it'll just be a garbage thing. Is my opinion, tinfoil though it may be, and I'm pretty sure most influencers would emphatically disagree with me, and that's okay. That's called civil discourse, folks. I support your right to disagree with me. All I'm saying is I find it ironic the timing of when it started going back in the red was right around when the decision came down from the Supreme Court. Tinfoil me if you must. That's all I got. Any questions, please do pop them in the chat for me, and I will do my best to get you an answer. Twitch swears I've been streaming for 3 hours, which is not true. Don't know why, but whatever. Oakley dokes. Looks like I don't have any questions. No problem. Hopefully this will post clean and YouTube will behave. And if there are questions, just pop them in the comments box. I will do my best to get you answers if I have them. Other than that, I'm about to go get some breakfast and refill my iced coffee. And I will see you guys next week because I will continue doing this once per week if you want to set your bat clock to it.